Welcome back. Gonna take a break from our regularly scheduled programming about Starfield content and talk about something that's been bothering me in Destiny 2. Now, over the past month or two, we've seen several of the major content creators here on YouTube and other areas kind of voice their opinions about some of the issues kind of going on in Destiny 2, whether it's monetization or server issues or Bungie needing to upgrade engines. But really, I haven't heard anybody kind of voice my opinions and kind of the way I feel about the state of Destiny 2. Like Astacross has done a pretty good job, but he still hasn't voiced what I've kind of thought. You know, Datto, Fallout, all those guys, Mylan, Bife. But really none of them have kind of voiced my concerns and how I just kind of feel about Destiny 2 right now. But really going back for the past, couple of years, maybe a year and a half or so, there has been this feel of Destiny has gotten more and more to be like doing your chores, right? And it hasn't been fun to play. And I tried to find actually this tweet. The one thing I actually did try to find for this video was a tweet that was put out by a dev from Bungie a couple years ago, maybe like about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but basically saying that they were a kind of like a gameplay engineer or kind of like a grind engineer is kind of the way I took it. And they kind of tweeted out like, hey, I'm going to make you grind for this in this game so much you're not even going to realize it. And we've kind of seen that kind of come out of Destiny 2 now really pretty poorly over the past year and a half, that it's gotten kind of bad. Like everything has slowed down, activities have slowed down. You can't really speed run as much. Not to say speed running is good or bad, but they've locked it down so heavily behind boss and mini boss health gates and certain timed type of activities, like you got to defend to this spot for a certain amount of time before it'll open or whatever. So it's a lot of that stuff that makes the game has just started to feel very much unfun. And I'm going to go back to a game that came out a couple years ago called Outriders. And one of the things I loved about Outriders, actually I liked a lot about Outriders, but one of the things I loved was a lot of those type of missions that you would run, they were about speedrunning. They were about getting your build better. They were about getting better loot and then running things again and running them faster. They were kind of like a tier reward system to where if you ran it in like 10 minutes, you would get a certain amount of rewards. If you ran it in 8 minutes, you would get a certain amount of rewards. If you ran it under 5 minutes, you would get like the best rewards. And that's what it was about. It was about getting better with your build so you could run things faster at the higher levels. It was a tiered reward system. And I always kind of thought Bungie was going to go that route after Outriders came out with that kind of a loot system. But they never did, and they've actually gone the other direction. They've gone in the direction of, we don't want you running things as fast, because to them, it's all about time in game. And that's where Bungie is kind of missing the idea of having fun. They are engineering the game so much about time in the game, because to them, there are metrics that say a certain amount of time in the game leads to a certain amount of revenue making. And that's not fun for the player. Like you're talking about engineering the player to spend time in the game. You're not talking about making a game to have fun. And here recently, I did play Diablo 4, and Diablo 4 is not even my style of game. I don't like top-down video games, but I played through the campaign, and I really haven't done much in Diablo 4 since then. And I don't feel like I'm going to miss out anything in Diablo 4. Was Diablo 4 refreshing to play? Yeah, it was. It was refreshing. It was fun. I did have fun, but I didn't see myself playing really past the campaign. And that brings me to another point about Diablo 4. One of the devs actually said, hey, you know what? It's okay to take a break from the game if you feel like it's been a little bit over grindy. I don't think we've ever heard that narrative from Bungie ever. Their narrative is, oh, you should play more. Oh, we'll introduce a season of therapy, referencing back to Season of the Haunted last year, if you're having mental issues. And I'm like, dude, piss off, man. Like, let's have fun. Let's get back to having fun. You don't have to make the game so grindy that we spend our entire lives playing your game. It's okay for gamers to go play other games. Like, that's okay. It's not a big deal. Let them have their loot and let them go play other things if they want to. But don't make it to where it's not fun, because now people don't want to play your game. And I'm going to get to a couple points here coming up that's really pissed me off. But the game I'm most looking forward to covering is Starfield. And I've been covering a lot on this channel. And some of the best things about Starfield is it's going to be single player, offline. I don't have to worry about server issues. I don't have to worry about monetization and a store and very crappy engineered gameplay mechanics that make me grind out time in the game. But as far as Destiny 2, they absolutely need to upgrade their engine. And I'm really kind of surprised none of the other big time streamers kind of hit on this. Is because their engine's outdated. The current engine that Destiny 2 is working with was mainly introduced back in 2017. 2017. This is 2023. We're seeing a lot of games come out with much larger scopes and ambitions than what Destiny 2 kind of has going for it right now. And the last major update that they did make to the engine was back in Beyond Light, which was back in, what, 2.5 years ago, I believe? And I'm not saying Bungie doesn't do a good job of incremental updates to the game, but what I'm talking about is major gameplay improvements. That's what we haven't seen. We've seen some pretty good changes come to build management and loadout management and crafting and new subclasses, but it's still just playing the same way. And it's just getting boring. So really what they need to do with the engine is make much larger improvements to increase the gameplay experience. But that's really not what's pissed me off. In the current season, season 21, season of the water, I guess. I don't really know what the season's called anymore. I haven't really been playing much. But this is the first season that I'm not going to get past rank 100 on the season pass. And I'm not going to get all the new seasonal exotics. Now I'm not going to really count the dungeon or raids, because sometimes that's just based on RNG and that can just take a while. But the Centrifuge exotic is actually a lot of fun, it's really cool. And I haven't gotten the new dungeon exotic, the Navigator. And honestly, I don't even know if I want to. I'm gonna get to that here in just a second. And I also haven't gotten the Wicked Implement, and that's where I'm gonna have a major problem. But as far as the Navigator exotic goes, that dungeon is the longest damn dungeon that they've ever made. And the biggest issue with it isn't even the actual encounters where you're doing the fighting. It's the water stuff, or, you know, going under the liquid methane, as they want to call it. It takes on the minimum like 20 minutes to go from the first encounter to the second encounter because you got to go through the water thing, which just draws out how long you're going to be in that dungeon. It is freaking ridiculous that they did this. I can't believe that that was their, like, hey, we're going to introduce a gameplay mechanic to slow people down. Hey, newsflash, players and gamers don't want to slow down. They want to try and run things as fast as possible. I could run other dungeons all the way through by the time it would take you to go from the first encounter to the second encounter in that new dungeon. That's what's ridiculous. Like, why design anything that way? And that's not really even getting to the second and third encounter bosses where, you know, some people think they're a little heavy on the health, and I get that. But the design of all the encounters is actually really, really good. It's just, why slow people down? What are you trying to slow people down for? And they have used this mechanic of this water mechanic that slows you down on all the seasonal activities stuff. Everything. It's boring. It is boring. Nobody wants to spend time going through the water, collecting bubbles to make sure they don't die. And all this really says to me is Bungie's out of ideas for what they want to do gameplay-wise inside of Destiny 2. And case in point is with Wicked Implement, the new exotic scout rifle. I can tell you one thing, this will probably be the first exotic I actually don't wind up getting probably ever. And I've gotten all the exotic, I've gotten all the exotic catalysts. I've gotten like everything in the game. So I'm not like somebody who hasn't gotten like all the stuff before, but this exotic is so dumb on how you get it. You gotta go do fishing, which is another thing that they introduced this season. And guess what? I'm gonna tell you straight up, Bungie, I have no interest to go do your little fishing simulator so that I can go get this scout rifle. And that's where I'm gonna say, Bungie, fuck off. Because that shit is bullshit. I have no interest in doing your fishing simulator little mini game, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, to go get an exotic scout rifle, okay? If I wanted to play a fishing simulator, I would download a fishing game on my phone or on my Xbox or my PC and play a fishing game, okay? Guess what? I don't want to do that. So the fact that you're locking an exotic behind some little mini game activity with behind RNG is fucking bullshit. And that's the biggest reason why I think I'm probably going to be done with Destiny 2 for a while. I'm probably going to be checking out, you know, some of the story stuff, because you know what? I've been playing Destiny 2 for what, the better part of how many years have been going? 10 years. So yeah, I do kind of want to see how the story ends. I did pay up full year for all the season passes this year, but I have no interest to really play in Destiny 2 past, like, really the story going forward. And really, I doubt I'm going to get the new expansion when it comes out. I'll probably just catch up with Bife and Mylan and see what their videos say about the story once the new expansion comes out. But I have no interest to really go play Destiny 2 because it just isn't fun. And if that's the direction they're actually going to be taking the game, count me out. I have no interest to do fishing. I have no interest to do hunting or bow or duck hunt or any of that. It's a shooter looter. If you want to introduce some of those mechanics and people can get, you know, different loot and stuff like that, okay, cool, fine. They can get loot. I wouldn't care. But to hide something new behind your little fishing simulator or whatever little new activity you have that isn't really tied to the core Destiny 2 experience is crap. Like, I have no interest to play that stuff. If you got people that have mental health issues and they want to go play fishing simulator, fine. Let them go fucking do it, but I ain't fucking doing it. That's bullshit. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way because most of the people in my clan feel this way and haven't even been playing. Anyways, that's about all I want to say. Just kind of, really just getting kind of tired of Bungie and how they're making Destiny 2 out to be like this grind machine. And I really wish I could find that tweet from whatever dev tweeted that about like 2 years ago, how they wanted to make it super grindy and you wouldn't even know it. Well, trust me, I do know it. And the game is just not fun anymore. And that's where I'm looking at other devs on other games. And they're like, oh yeah, come here, have fun. You know what? If you don't want to play anymore, take a break. Oh yeah, we're not going to introduce all this monetization stuff. Now we'll see if that remains to be seen. And I have no real problem with companies trying to monetize their product. I don't. Like, I know Data is super hardcore about not spending money on microtransactions and monetization, and I get it. But the other thing is I do want to support the games and devs that I do like their product. And right now, with Destiny 2, Bungie, I ain't supporting you because I don't like your product. So really, that's all I got. I'm going to get back to doing Starfield stuff. I just kind of had to get this. It's really been weighing on my mind for about the past week and a half, ever since that new exotic mission came out with the scout rifle and kind of how you accessed it. Kind of just annoyed me. So I'm going to get back to making Starfield stuff where I'm a lot happier when I do that. It's funny, I'm happier making content about a game rather than playing an actual game. Imagine that. Alrighty, take care.